Number 8, the Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Mr. Speaker, this question is to the Prime Minister and asks, is he satisfied that the current Minister of Immigration is working for all New Zealanders?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, yes.
Supplementary question, yes. Right Honourable Winston Peters.
How is the Minister working for all New Zealanders when record net migration numbers are fueling the Auckland housing crisis and the Reserve Bank's raising of interest rates to deal...
Order. Complete. Would the member complete his question?
Yes, yes.
Order.
How is the Minister working for all New Zealanders when record net migration numbers are fueling the Auckland housing crisis and the Reserve Bank's raising of interest rates to deal with the Auckland housing bubble is adversely affecting the entire country?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, first, there's a number of factors that drive net migration in New Zealand, but the most pronounced of those, of course, is that New Zealanders are not leaving for Australia as they were in droves under the previous Labor government. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, there are certain aspects of migration policy which are, for want of a better description, out of the control of the government, and that is Australians, for instance, are free to come to New Zealand. I don't think the member's really saying he's going to stop Australians coming over, and 25,000 of those come every year. We then have people that come on the Pacific category. Is the member actually saying he doesn't want people to come under the Friendship Treaty with Samoa? And I could go on. But Mr. Speaker, the truth of it is that this is a government that's working so well for New Zealand that New Zealanders want to stay here and be part of it.
Supplementary question.
Order. Order. Supplementary question, the Right Honourable Winston Peters.
How is the current Immigration Minister working for all New Zealanders when there is record net migration at a time there are almost 150,000 unemployed New Zealanders and half the workforce got no pay increase last year?
Mr. Speaker,
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
The member should really avoid using data that he probably doesn't understand. That's the LCI index.
Order.
Point of order.
Order. Order.
Speaker.
Order. This is a point of order. I want to hear it in silence. Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Just because the Prime Minister is embarrassed, there's no reason to start with a character assassination or attack on a Member of Parliament doing his humble duty.
Order. 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 On this occasion, order. On this occasion, the member writes a reasonable point if the Prime Minister would just address the question.
Mr. Speaker,
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Simply trying to be helpful to the member that the LCI index doesn't actually measure what he said. And if he'd like me to send around one of the Treasury officials, take him through it, I'm more than happy to do that, Mr. Speaker. But the second point is it's not record high migration. Actually, I could point to a time not that long ago when there were high levels of net migration under the previous Labor government.
Supplementary question.
Supplementary question, the Right Honourable Winston Peters.
What does he say to New Zealanders concerned at the high ratios of non-skilled, non-working immigrants last year, when 49% of immigrants were granted permanent residence under family, parent and humanitarian categories?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, as the member knows, there's a parent category, and that category allowed 4,000 parents to come under family reunification. The member also knows that the government actually changed that back in 2012. And the member also knows that for a very, very long period of time, New Zealand has agreed to take 750 refugees, and that happened the entire time that the member was Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Supplementary question.
Supplementary question, Right Honourable Winston Peters.
As well. Supplementary question. What does he say to New Zealanders concerned that with 44% of recent migrants from China being aged 50 and over, there will be a serious impact on healthcare, aged care and New Zealand superannuation?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, firstly, I'd have to check that fact, and I'm not entirely sure. Well, I've learned to be cautious, you know, so I'm not entirely sure that fact is right, Mr. Speaker. But what I can say is if you look at migration overall in terms of people that come to New Zealand, The vast overwhelming bulk of them actually add to New Zealand. They come in all sorts of areas, from students that come and study in New Zealand, many of whom may well stay and add to our economy. They come in the highly skilled labour markets that they need. They come with capital that they bring to New Zealand, and they come, Mr. Speaker, with the right attitude towards New Zealand. And if you look at the entire time that I've been Prime Minister, the average net increase in the population per year has been under 10,000 people a year. For a country the size, roughly, of Great Britain, to increase our population by 10,000 people or less a year is hardly some sort of crisis that we can't cope with.
Supplementary question, the Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Why did the Immigration Minister, who was working for all New Zealanders, why did he expand work permits to over 79,000 foreign students, which means it is not export education at all? And when Australia abolished the... I know you're a load of rubbish, but I'm talking about my question.
Order, just ask...
Can I stick to my question, not you?
Order. The member will just complete...
Well, you heard what he said, Mr. Speaker.
Order. Just complete a question.
Point of order.
Point of order, Right Honourable Winston.
There's a certain member over there who has barracked every time a question was asked from the very beginning, and frankly, he's tiresome and boring.
Order. Now,
you should stop him.
Order. Order. I want to allow this member the opportunity to ask his supplementary question, and I do not want any interjections coming from my right-hand side. Order. Right, supplementary question, Right Honourable Winston Peters. Order.
Why did the Immigration Minister, who was supposedly working for all New Zealanders, expand work permits to around 79,000 foreign students, which means it is not export education at all that is happening there with them, when Australia abolished these work permits after they realised foreign students were earning money in Australia to repay loans back in their own countries for their international school fees in Australia?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, first, I'm not sure the member's right that all of them got work permits, but secondly, if you look at export education, it's an industry that earns New Zealand about $2.6 billion a year. It's added 28,000 jobs to New Zealanders. Mr. Speaker, actually, the member is right about one thing, and that is that quite a lot of these students that actually come to New Zealand from countries all around the world actually do get off their backside and work in a cafeteria. They do actually go and work in bars around New Zealand. They do clean motels around New Zealand to pay for their education. And what happens with many of them is they actually stay in New Zealand, they become long-term citizens of this country, and they add to the fabric... Well, I haven't finished my answer, Mr. Speaker.
Order. Point of order, Right Honourable Winston Peters.
The thrust of this question simply is that if a student is working in New Zealand...
Order. That's not a point of order. If the member wants another supplementary, listen, the member will resume his seat. The member will resume his seat. Now, would the Prime Minister please complete his answer?
Mr. Speaker, the point I'm making is that a great many of these international students who do come to New Zealand do actually work part-time. That gives them some money to pay for their time that they're in New Zealand, but it also demonstrates actually that they're committed to our country, that they've got a good work ethic, and actually I think they add enormously to New Zealand. And if New Zealand First doesn't want these people coming to New Zealand, they're welcome to have that view.
The answer now is long enough. Question number 9, Eugenie Sage.
Tēnā koe, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Tēnā koe.